Hello, everybody. Scott Roberts here with Jerry Hubble and Tyler Bowman here. And I'm inside the Explore Scientific showroom. Thought it'd be kind of fun to set up in here. That's why I'm a little bit late. I was running about 2 minutes late here. So as I was frantically putting everything together, hooking everything up, and getting our show back up so that we could be live with you. So anyways, our topics today will be about Explore Scientific Aerospace Triplet telescopes. And, Tyler came running into my office a little bit earlier today saying that he wanted a new mount. So we're going to talk about that. And Jerry Hubble is going to talk about his favorite subjects, the telescope drive master and autoguiding. So that's, we thought we would kind of go through some of that, maybe rehashing some of it for you, but there's always new guys that want to know more. So, and I can see our regular cast of watchers here. We've got Richard Grace, Tim Myers, Michael Whitaker, Mike Wiesner. Happy because the technology is working today? Yes, very happy. And it is episode number 50. That's right. So we're going to have a special question and a special 50th show door prize. Yeah. So that's
Roman numeral L.
Is that what it is? 50?
That's what 50.
Like that?
We're not losers, but we're Roman numeral L.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, Roman numeral L. Very cool. So Tyler, let's start with you, man. You wanted to get a new mount.
Yeah, I'm coming from a Skywatcher HEQ 6R Pro. Great mount. I'm wanting something a little beefier, but I'm wanting it with a PMC-8 version. Now, unfortunately, we're still waiting for stock to come in on the Exos 2. But there's the alternative version of the G11. And I was wanting to pick your brain and Jerry's brain on those because y'all have Lost Mandy mounts. And there's not really a whole lot of information out there on that particular set, which is unfortunate because I'm wanting to invest in a lot of money in this said particular item. So I was hoping you guys could shed some light on that.
Part of this is that this mount is not made specifically for us. Okay, we work with Lost Mandy to modify the mount with our stepper drives, our couplers, and the 8. But all the rest of the specs, as far as payload capacity and drive accuracy and stuff, is all on the Lost Mandy website. Now perhaps we should move some of that stuff over so you can see it all in one spot. But it is, the G11 is kind of this legendary mount, and it's legendary because of its payload capacity, its precision, and its price. Okay, it's a very, very good price. And when it comes to mounts, I'm a little bit old school. I like a bigger, heavier mount, even though it's, more to deal with, heavier to deal with. But the G11 splits apart. We decided to go ahead and include the RA coupler, which is not standard if you buy one from Lost Mandy, but it gives that additional RA spacer gives you more space, when you're going past the meridian, when you're tracking, and it allows you to tear the mount apart into two pieces, so it's relatively easy to carry those. The tripod, nothing we can do about that. It is a big tripod. I don't know where you live exactly, Tyler, but do you? Do you have like a place where you can set up like a little pier or something like that? In your
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it would be something that I would transport from in and out of the garage. I'd have to talk to the missus about the pier system.
right.
But something, I mean, I'm a fairly big guy. I can handle quite a bit. But I want something that's easily transporting that I can take to the lake house if I want to.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the two-piece design. I know all mounts are essentially a two-piece design, but I want something that's going to hold something. If I ever invest in a heavier duty scope, like a 152 or the 165, I know that this mount
Oh yeah,
can hold it.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Being that you
initially.
work
That's
there,
what I want.
Tyler, you have easy access to any of the two. So you have a little benefit of working here at
A
Explore.
little bit of it.
But what do you think about that, Jerry?
Yeah, so I can, we've got the G11 mounted in the observatory, of course, a Mark Slade remote observatory, and I'm going to show that in a little bit and some of the performance of it. But it's a great mount, and one of the things is, I don't know if you would consider it or not, but that tripod is as solid as a rock. It's as very, very much the same as a pier once you have it set up. I mean, I've gone to star parties with the G11, and it's just solid as a rock once you set the pier up. I mean, the tripod up, that big tripod. So one of the things to consider maybe is if you have a spot in the yard to set the tripod up, to leave it out there permanently if you can, if you're comfortable with that.
Well, in my backyard, I have pavers set up that already all set up. And everything pointing north. So, I mean, I could literally just leave it on the pavers.
Right.
And just cover up the tripod.
That's kind of what I would suggest if you're comfortable with that. And then you can take the two pieces out there. They're very easy to carry when they split out. It's only, like 20 to 25 pounds a piece, I think. 22 pounds and 25 pounds, I think, are the two pieces. But and then the counterweights are another 20-some pounds. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy to cart it back and forth. You don't have to strain yourself.
He's kind of built to carry heavier things anyway, so.
Well, but there's no sense in tempting
Bet
fate.
500, 600 pounds? I don't know.
I have lifted heavy things within my lifetime.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
But no, I wanted to test or get y'all's opinion on that because I know Scott has one in his office and it's always beautiful and he's always got it on the broadcast.
Mhm.
So it's kind of his fault that I'm wanting to go this way, but I'm glad that I'm able to pick the minds that can give me more information on that.
Right? Yeah, so Dusty Haskins says wheels, question mark, question mark. Now, Dustin had, I don't know if he had pavers out there, but he said he had markings on his
He's got a concrete drive.
Yeah, so I don't know if he maybe taped something down or painted something so that when he puts down those tripod legs, it's so darn close to perfect polar alignment that it just makes it fast, So, and having something, convenience is a big deal. It just makes you observe more, makes you do astrophotography more, Oh, by the way, Tyler, we do have observatory domes coming, so you can forego 2 or 3 paychecks and,
Oh, yeah. That'll go over well.
with the wife.
Over real well. Oh, yeah.
And then you bring back this observatory dome and show the wife. She'll be so happy for you.
She's like, where's the lawnmower going? Why is that? It's like, I thought this was for the lawnmower.
Small domes, though, they fit anywhere. So,
Well, I do have a smallish yard, so that would be the benefit.
yeah. So Richard Gray says he has backyard sand here. Maybe he lives near the beach or something. I don't know. But, and Tim's saying the G11 will probably be my next move a couple of years from now unless Explore Scientific comes up with a better option. You just never know. We are working. I can tell you we're working on other mounts, but the G11's kind of in its own class, I think. So I hope to have it for a long time.
Yeah.
Tim mentions also, he said he painted arrows on his driveway, and he says, when I roll my scope out, I'm usually within a minute or two in azimuth when aligning with the SC. that's really good. You know, if you're within a minute or two, and
That is pretty good.
Jerry, you guys are both doing a lot of astrophotography. Is that
Yeah, that's
enough for like 2 or 3
Any
hours?
that's pretty good.
I think
Um,
that's close enough. I think,
yeah.
well, because if you're going to be auto guiding,
Mhm.
you really want to, and I can talk a little bit about some plans for the ASCOM driver that Wes and I have been talking about. But in terms of the auto guiding,
Mm-hmm.
you really want to have a little bit of drift and declination.
Mhm.
That's really a better way to go instead of having a near perfect, polar alignment where you don't have any. Either you don't guide in deck at all if you have a near perfect polar alignment, or you do guide in deck and you have a little bias so that you don't flop back and forth within the mesh. If you're going back and forth in your deck guiding, then it gets to be a little problematic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I can average about an arc second or less with the HEQ 6.5 Pro.
So Mike Wiesner came up with the perfect solution for you, Tyler. He said, I told my CFO wife that I could keep stuff in the observatory that would otherwise be in the house. Okay.
Or the garage. I can see his point.
Yeah. She
see this.
immediately approved the observatory.
Mhm.
And James, the astrophotographer, is joining us. How you doing, James? Yep. So if you are just now signing on, James, we're inside the Explore Scientific showroom. I guess I could kind of show it a little bit here. A lot of our telescopes here. I've got Dobbs in the background. I've got our airspace triplets back there. And I thought I would kind of do a little intro of our airspace triplets and then I guess show.
You're forgetting one, Scott. You're forgetting the massive one behind you.
Oh yeah, that one right there. That's true. Let's see can I just turn this around? Here we go. You mean that one?
That one, the Titan of all things.
That's true. We have sold a few of these Titans. Mandy stopped making them. He's trying to entice me to have them made again. So, but we did put the PMC-8 to the Titan mount, and this is really a beast. I mean, it can hold a lot.
That's solid, yeah.
Very solid. So, but yeah. So, but I thought this showroom would be infinitely more interesting than my office. So I guess I'll get started with one of the.
Jerry, I'll be back. I have to deal with a wonderful customer.
Okay, all right.
I'm a wonderful customer. So, here we go. Here we go. I think this lets you guys, well, it cuts off my head, right? Let's do that. Let's just chop off the top of my head.
Yeah, we just
Get
want to see
the
from the
point
neck down.
off. You don't have to see the point on the top.
Right.
Anyways, when I first started up Explore Scientific, I had available to me to work with ED apochromatic refractors and eyepieces, of course. And I immediately started work on a 5-inch version of this telescope in a white metal tube. It is our ED 127. And it is a triplet. And, sometimes you see apos and they are doublets, okay? And they're called apos, but they're not really, okay? They're semi-apos. They may do a very good job with correcting color to a degree, but getting all three colors, the primary colors, focused at the same time, you're really, you need that extra lens element to do that. There are 2-element semi-apos, 3-element true apos, which is what this is. When you throw a field flattener on it, it becomes a kind of a 5-element system at that point. There are 4-element apos as well. And the source of apochromatic optics goes all the way back to microscopy. I think it's Carl Zeiss or Leitz, I can't remember which one, but they developed the apochromatic objective, okay, because there was a lot of chromatic aberration at high magnifications. And so most of the, and they were also the developers, and I forget which one it is, it's either Zeiss or Leitz, but they were the developers of ED glass. But making extra low dispersion glass, that's what ED means, is hard to do. Now, extra low dispersion glass does one thing that's really nice. What it does is it keeps the dispersion of the primary colors of light from spreading, okay? If you had just a pure ED system, front element, back element, center element, man, that would be a honey of a telescope, but it would be ultra expensive. You can attenuate chromatic aberration by air spacing or sometimes oil spacing. That is also done on refractors. We did not opt for oil spacing because of the higher chance of having to do maintenance with oil. And that is problematic. Air spacing does quite a bit for attenuating that chromatic aberration as well. And then you add a nice ED element in there. My first telescopes had FCD1 glass from Hoya, and it had like an Abbey number of like 85. And the higher the Abbey number, the less the dispersion. And so, perfect would be 100. There is no 100 ED glass out there. There are high 90s or like mid to, the mid range of 90s, and that would be your FPL 53 glass and your FCD 100 glass. FPL 53 comes from a company called O'Hara in Japan, and FCD 100 also comes from Japan, from Hoya. For whatever reason, FPL 53 and FCD 100, they're very, very close in their Abbey numbers. They're like just FCD 100 is just like a couple of points below FPL 53, but I defy you to tell the difference if you could look through an FPL 53 scope versus an FCD 100 scope, and I would defy an expert to be able to tell that difference. But for whatever reason, FCD 100 costs less, and it may be because they make more of it. I'm not sure what the reasons are, but I've really fallen in love with FCD 100 and what it can do for astrophotographers and visual observers, and so it's very nice.
So one thing, Scott, I wanted to ask a question, let you talk about it a little bit. Recently we've been talking about narrowband imaging and achromats, and then so the main advantage of an apochromat is that you've got broadband response that's very high, that keeps in focus, no chromatic aberration, nearly no chromatic aberration at all. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing broadband imaging where you can do very fast exposure times to get deep into space, basically, compared to a narrowband filter, which really cuts off the vast majority of light,
right?
Where you're not concerned about the color correction in that type of system necessarily, but if you want to get high cadence, fast images with a refractor, then you need to do an apochromat.
Yeah, right. And so, and you say high cadence, meaning the ability
high time resolution.
Yeah, right. So So, over the years I did things like we improved I don't know if you can see this very well. Let's see if I can let you see inside here. Uh, the first appos that Explore Scientific had just centering screws on the side of the lens cell to do the collimation. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get a perfect collimation, but it could be done by the consumer. But you run into the problem of where you can pinch the optic pretty easily, because what you do is center it, back off on the screw just so that it's just faintly touching the edge of the glass. If you want to tighten it all down, you're going to get triangle-looking stars. It's going to be bad, okay? This particular lens cell does have the centering screw, so we can make sure that we got a perfectly centered center element, from the first, second, and third element, all centered up. And it's got push-pull type of screws. Well, one is an adjustment screw, and the other one is not a pulling screw. It's a locking screw, okay? And so that adjusts tilt on the system. So I'm holding also a carbon fiber telescope, and carbon fiber it takes off so many pounds off the telescope. Even this 102, it just makes it really lightweight. It probably weighs just slightly more than my metal tube 80, okay? Which is, so that's, this type of system with carbon fiber, is a high performance astrograph type system. It comes with a 2-speed 10-to-1 focuser, or maybe that's 8-to-1. I think these new ones are 8-to-1. But and then a company called Optec makes an electric focuser for it that works, that just fits right on. So it's really cool. And that's it. When you buy one, you're going to get of course, the focuser, the cradle rings. You notice the handle's got this little slot up here, and it's got a grip, so it makes it easy to hold it. So you'll find that on all of our telescopes. It's kind of a signature item there, but you can put a 1/4 bolt through there. You can attach, mounting rings up here, so you can put a guide scope, or you can piggyback a DSLR if you want to. These things are guaranteed. If you register it, it's guaranteed for a lifetime, actually forever. And it comes with a no-fault warranty. So when you buy an Explore Scientific telescope, has the best warranty in the world, but you got to register it, and a lot of people don't. I'm really always shocked how many people who don't register with us. So on the telescope too, let me slide the cradle rings back up. You'll notice also too, this has a sliding dew shield. The dew shield on my original telescopes was removable. And then we had consumers complain that, well, no, we want a sliding dew shield, so so now I have some place to put my dew shield. As soon as I went to the sliding one, guess what? Amateur astronomers said they wanted a removable dew shield.
Of course. There's one other change you did. There's one other change you did with the refractors, and that's with the cover also, isn't that right? The original ones had the screw-on cap.
They had a thread-on cap. That was a bad idea. Yeah. So that's something I inherited as far as a design because when I first started my company, I'm working with JOC. JOC was already making some of this stuff. And the deal is that I asked if I could work directly with their engineering team, that I could set the quality standards, and I told them that we would inspect every unit that came through, which we do, and so that's just something that they've learned to live with me, because that I felt it was very important. You'll notice also too, it does of course have a label on it. This is very common on telescopes. It has a serial number on it. Um, and all the accessories, even the diagonal that comes with this has a serial number on it, which you don't normally see. Um, but I think that my move, although it did cost more to use carbon fiber, uh, uh, you know, has been well received because some of us have bad backs, some of us don't want to lift something really heavy, especially when you get up to like their 6 inch and 6.5 inch telescopes. If that was a metal tube, um, if you had a bad back, you probably wouldn't even consider it. If you're not in a permanent observatory type of situation. So, but but yeah, this is the current model. This is the FCD 100 model. Uh, you know, Warranted forever with a no fault transferable warranty. So, and this year, um, business for all telescope manufacturers, all retailers, anybody that's in our business right now, since about April, sales have been crazy on telescopes. And, um, me and all the rest of the industry, we were getting ready for not an increase in business, but a decrease in business because of the pandemic that's going on around the world. But people focused on their hobbies and they had time to devote to it. So virtually anything that you use outdoors, whether it's, and we talked about this before, but if it's like camping gear or bicycles or I'm sure golf clubs, whatever, anything that you're going outdoors to do, where you can do it kind of solo, that stuff has been purchased up. And so
Mm-hmm.
a little bit hard to get some stuff from us today. I'm not completely out of product, but we're getting down there. So, and the factories are now working at multiple shifts, and so we're doing everything we can to meet the demand, but it's a little bit tough these days. So, but and I have a very broad range of refractors. We have the acromats, which we talked about during our star party last Tuesday. Saw some beautiful narrowband imaging from Jason Gunzel, and we have. So I've got three serious models of those. I've got AR 102, a 127, and a 152. Those are all f6.5. And then we have our classic FCD one line, which is like my original scopes, but with the better focuser. It is a rack and pinion focuser versus a Crayford. We started off with Crayfords. It has the improved front cell on it, and they do have the retractable dew shields. So, and then we introduced the FCD 100 line, both in metal tube and carbon fiber for people who like carbon fiber. And then we introduced an FPL 53 line, which, because of the price, I think did not sell as well. They're expensive telescopes. Our EDO 165 FPL 53, for example, is I think it's around $11,000, something like that. So,
Right. Mm-hmm.
versus an FCD one ED 152 with FCD one glass, and that scope is around $5,000, maybe $5,500. I'd have to double check, but we've seen beautiful astrophotography with all of them. And
You say the price is fairly expensive, but they compete directly with the high-end brands, Astrophysics and Teleview, and they're very high performance, very high value propositions when you go to buy a scope refractor. I think we compete very well with those brands.
right. Well, I started off. Look, I know that those brands offer optics. If you buy an Astrophysics or a Takahashi, those are going to be optics that are figured beyond diffraction limit. They may be like 10th wave or better optics. We don't promise 10th wave or better optics. We promise real diffraction limited or better, okay, which is quarter wave as a system, okay? But most amateur astronomers have come to learn in this hobby have never used or experienced even diffraction limited optics, okay? No matter what the manufacturer says, guys, okay? So we have really held that quality level of making it diffraction limited or better. Sometimes customers call me and beg to have us hand pick a set of optics for them. We really don't do that, because I'd be hand picking optics all day long. I am proud that we're doing diffraction limited and better, and that's kind of our proposition. Is we're going to give you a scope that you can do research with. In case in point, I mean, Jerry and his team are doing research and have discovered an exoplanet with their ED-165, and that's just a diffraction limited telescope. So let's read some comments and questions here, Jerry.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. James the astrophotographer says, gotta love those triplets. Richard Gray says, I'm going to be using the ES triplet for the next star party if the sky's clear. I want that field of view. James the astrophotographer says, just more goodies to drool over. That's true. Wade Prunty wants to know if I'm giving this away as the door prize. Not this time, but I do.
Yeah.
Look, I'll make a promise to the group, okay? At one point, maybe when we have our year anniversary of doing shows, I've got, whole year down, we will do a telescope as a door prize, so, and
that's great.
Yeah, so you're definitely going to want to be watching for that. We'll kind of, I don't know, Jerry and I will get creative on how to do that, how to win that particular prize. So, Mr. Thumb 30 says Jerry is like Garth, left alone on air.
Left alone. Oh yeah, that's right.
I have to get a guitar and stuff, and
It's funny with Wayne's
Mike
World.
Myers on the air with us. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Trade him a telescope for an appearance. Let's see. Does the extra glass limit how deep it sees? Oh, I'm going to have to let Gary Palmer answer that question. Gary, if you're still watching, maybe you can give the answer. Chuck says, I'm thinking about that 102 ED. That is really my personal pick, okay, as far as the telescope that I'm using on my G11. So, I got this little 4-inch that I can pick up and move around. It's like a feather compared to what that G11 can move. But anyhow, I think it's a great scope. James the astrophotographer says, and it looks great writing on the Exos 2 PMC 8. Dave Ing says, I mounted my ASI Air to the handle of my ED-102. Yeah, that's a good place to put it. Dusty Haskins has a question for me. Scott, do you have the N208 carbon fiber out there so I can drool a bit? I'm over halfway there, saving my little bit out of my each paycheck. Actually, I do. If you hold on right here, I'll get it.
I just wanted to, if anybody's wondering what the background on my my camera is today, that's actually, I spent a lifetime working at the nuclear station, North Anna Power Station in Virginia, and that's the control room for Unit 1 in at North Anna Power Station. So if you're wondering what that was.
So how many, did you work a lot in there, or? I mean, that's
Yeah, I worked.
the
I
place.
spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in a control room doing testing. A lot of it during testing and running procedures. We'd have a coordinator in the control room, and then 2 or 3 technicians out in the field. We would coordinate testing, and then I did some special tests during an outage in the control room also. But I was all over the plant for the most part during my career.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. So, this is the N208CF. You can see how lightweight it is. We currently make this into an astrographic version. The original version was just mostly like a visual system, but I thought it looked beautiful in carbon fiber, and the images through it are spectacular. So I think that if you have more specific questions on it, just give me a phone call. And we can talk about it. So, but that is the N208. I haven't made a 10-inch carbon fiber Newtonian. Maybe that's something we'd do in the future.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So Jim Henderson says he prefers thread-on caps. The press-ons always seem to fall off. Here's the problem with thread-on caps, Jim. Okay. If you get a piece of dirt or a grit of sand in the thread, you can lock that thread-on cap on to where it's almost impossible to get it off.
Yep, it's
Okay?
jammed on. Yep.
Jammed on. And so I had, because of the kind of warranty I have, there were situations where people cross-threaded it, had a piece of dirt inside of it. I couldn't get it off, okay? Using like pipe wrenches and all kinds of,
Yeah.
stuff that you would grab, the rubber grabbing kind of, trying to use to, couldn't do that. So I ended up replacing whole telescopes out of it. And so that's part of the reason I didn't do that. And plus the customer was then, they had to send the scope back, so there was all that inconvenience. And so that's.
There's one other thing. There's one other thing with that cap too.
Mm-hmm.
As you're trying to put it on, it could slip out of your hand and bang onto your glass.
Yes.
You could hit the glass with the cap, and it would be damn. It's like
Yeah. So let me see if I can get at this lens cap here. So the lens cap is just it's got a little bit of felt on the inside, so it just fits on soft. But I made sure that we used a metal cap. And I'll tell you a funny little story. When I was working at Meade Instruments, I used to have keys to Mount Wilson Observatory, and we had a 7-inch doublet, ED doublet, mounted onto the 16-inch telescope at Mount Wilson. It was a 16-inch LX200. So I thought, well, I'll just do, I'll took one of our CCD cameras out there and was going to do some imaging. And so I set up the whole thing, and I got my laptop there, and I'm going to do my dark fields, okay? So I put on this thick black plastic lens cap onto the front of the telescope, which is what it came with, okay? Beautiful, thick black plastic lens cap. And I'm taking images. I'm trying to get darks, and I see stars coming through. Now, I'm thinking, there's something wrong here. It's delivering to me a light frame for some reason, and I thought something was wrong with the camera, okay? I thought there was something wrong with the camera, or wrong with my computer. It kept showing this, and I was going, this is crazy, because I was doing like, we had a beautiful polar alignment on the mount, so I was going to do 5-minute stubs. So I'm shooting 5-minute darks, and I keep seeing stars, and it baffles me. I burn up half the night trying to figure this thing out, and I finally figure out what happens is because I guess the stars in perhaps infrared went right through the black cloud, right through.
Yep.
Okay, as if there was nothing there. And so the stars that were burning brightly in IR were showing up like crazy, and they were sharply focused and everything through this deformed black plastic cap. So that's the reason why I use metal cap there. On the inside, we have these things fully baffled. I actually, there was a whole thing at Northeast Astronomy Forum, and one of the founders of the Santa Barbara Instruments Group, which makes popular CCD cameras, Alan, I forget Alan's last name, but he was one of the founders of SBIG, and he was going around looking at commercially made refractors and complaining that they were improperly baffled. And so, I said, well, would you check ours? Most people are like hiding because, Alan's going around actually checking the telescopes at NEAF, and saying, oh, this one's no good for imaging. They have to be, the cutoffs on it have to be just right so that you're not reducing the aperture of the scope or allowing too much light where you got light flooding in around it, and that reduces your contrast. Okay, kind of defeats the purpose of having baffles in the first place. And so, I'm happy to say that we were getting it right. So, but then what we do is we fog the interior with a flat black paint, and it's pretty dark in there. So you should be getting the best of what you can. Let's see. Tim Meyer says, someday I'll have enough saved up for an ES scope. We also, a lot of our dealers do this. We do this as well. You can make payments, so. What's a diagonal? A diagonal is a mirror. Do I have one right here? Yeah, I got one right here. This is the nice thing about having a showroom, Jared.
Yeah, it's like having a booth at NEAF, except it's always set up.
Always set up, exactly. David Levy's trying to call me right now. I have to call him after the show. But this is a diagonal. And it's called a diagonal because it takes light coming from the scope and puts it at a diagonal, a 90-degree position. And astronomers did this because they wanted a more comfortable observing angle. They didn't want to be, looking up through the telescope straight.
Like a pirate.
Like a pirate, Although, there's some people like being a pirate, so it's fun to be a pirate. Except when you're an astronomer pirate and you got a crick in your neck. But that's what a diagonal is.
Is there something special about the glass that we use in the diagonal?
It's a quartz substrate. So, yeah. And they are coated with enhanced aluminum coating, so you got a 99% reflectance.
So that's okay. So that's a very high reflectance. That's important.
Yeah.
For visual use.
Yeah, an aluminum overcoat. A standard aluminum overcoat has a reflectance of like low 80s or something like that. So, but anyways, what other comments here? Let's see. Having a hard time scrolling. Please move that scope. I'm gonna have to have a better setup. I've been on QVC. I should know better on how to make a presentation. Richard Gray says that 115 millimeter f5.5 seems awesome. Maybe one day. That is actually a very nice telescope. So that was Jason. Brett Blake's talking. One of the best M27 shots I've seen, and it was an achromat. That's right. So we'll have to get Jason back on the show, and I think he's going to be doing more narrowband imaging with his AR telescopes. David Ing says, if you can't sell those $11,000 telescopes, you can give them away here as door prizes.
Yeah.
You're killing me.
You want us to stay in
You're
business?
killing me, dude.
Yeah, we got to stay in business to
Oh my
support our
God,
customers.
that's right. Okay, so what glass is in the ED80CF? That scope was, the CF model was discontinued. There's still some out there that you can still buy, from what I understand. We don't have any here anymore, but that has FCD1 glass. And that was answered correctly by Mike, or by Astro Blender. Yep.
Scott, I do have a question.
Sure.
When are we going to come out with more Comet Hunters?
The Comet Hunter was retired.
Dang it. Okay.
That was retired. You needed to jump on that wagon a long time ago, dude.
I wasn't a part of the bandwagon yet.
There may be one here that's like an old beat up show model, something like that. So that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Good to have you back. So
Sorry, I was dealing with a customer. I
Taking
do apologize for the inconvenience.
that's good. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Most amateurs are not even in a location where 10th wave could be noticeable. I would say that is a good argument. Richard Lighthill brings that up. So Wade Prunty heard 2 dogs, Jerry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brent Blake says, if Scott gave away an ED, I'm showing up here with Google all fired up. That's right. I will give away an ED. Oh yes, I will. On our year anniversary show. Richard Lighthill, would the average amateur even have good enough sky? Oh no, I just read that. Gary Palmer. Somebody wanted to know, is there a limit on the question I asked him was, is there a limit to how deep you can go? But I think Gary's answering a different question. No, the real answer is that the atmosphere will distort more than the glass on any telescope. That's why they call it diffraction limited. It has to do with the sky, shooting through an atmosphere, okay? So that's the reason why they made the Hubble Space Telescope. I think it was like 1/90th wave or something like that. But unfortunately, they ground it to the wrong figure. Not smoothness. It's 1/90th wave smooth, okay, but the wrong figure, and they had to go correct the spherical aberration that caused. So, but once they did, wow, it was awesome. Astro Blender says, I'm the same way with the N208CF. I love my Comet Hunter, but the faster speed, increased resolution makes me really want one. Such a pretty tube too. Yeah. Mike Overacker says, Jerry, you must know my brother-in-law.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
What's his name?
Is that the question of the day? You get his brother-in-law's name right. First, middle, and last, okay?
I don't know.
That's right. Nah, that can't be the question. Hey, at Astro Blender, your video is the reason I'm using a Comet Hunter. Yeah, you're going to have to come on the show, Astro Blender, and show us some images. That would be let's see. Do we have any questions? Best view I could get of the product to change my life. What was the phony green screen? What's with the phony green screen background? It's not phony. That's real. It's where you work, man.
Who's asking?
Mr. Savage.
He hasn't been watching very long because I do this every show.
Every show.
50 shows now. I've had a background. I've just recently been updating it to show different types of backgrounds.
That's true. But it hasn't been all 50 shows that you had dogs barking.
No.
No, I try to shield everybody from that.
Gary Palmer says, I remember the 80 triplet, I guess he's talking about us, being marked down in a review with the Meade 80 due to the screw on the cap, even though the ES had better glass in it.
I love
it wasn't me that reviewed it. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I didn't like it either, so we changed this as we could. Um, Dusty Haskins says, Astro Beard, you'll win because my wife watches the bank account like a hawk. In fact, I have my brother. I have my brother order my Astro stuff, and most of it shipped to my parents, so I can sneak them into the Astro room. Wow. So is the wife is like off limits? She can't come into the Astro room. Is there a lock on the door? Biometrics,
Scott, wasn't he the gentleman that won the 150? Was it the 152 or the 127 that he won in a drawing?
Dusty won the 152. Yeah.
How did he explain that one to his wife?
I won it. What do you say? I won it.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
like, I won it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
You're never that lucky.
I mean, you got
He
the
is
wife.
that lucky, though.
How do you get luckier than
Lucky.
that?
That dude needs to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Astro Beard. Well, good luck anyways. I can't wait to see your images from a fast nude. I'm surprised you're not using Vanta Black on the inside of your tubes yet.
We talked about that.
We talked about it. It's so expensive, though.
Yeah, we talked about that a while ago.
It is very expensive. You're right. If you look at, let's just say it cost, I don't know, $50, $100 to, at the manufacturer's cost. Okay. You have to build in. It's not just adding the material. Everything that you add into a company, you have to add a little bit of marketing. In fact, a lot of marketing. Okay. You have to add in all your overheads like insurance, wages, lights, everything to run a company. So, and that all goes into your products. So depends on. So you have to think about what advantage your customer is really going to get. I mean, really, ultimately.
Right, and are people going to want to pay that extra for it to get that advantage? I mean, that's why it's hard to sell.
Yeah, it might
features.
want to buy something over another thing if I knew, but once I'm at a certain price point, it's hard to get me, even like buying a car or something, if they said, well, it's got rich Corinthian leather seats, okay, if Ricardo Montalban was actually standing there trying to sell me the car, then maybe I could, but no. Yeah, there's the other equipment back here. I think I'm going to start doing a show here every day, so. The comment.
Keep your desk out there. Just keep your desk out there.
Well, my Mac and I have a MacBook too, okay? My microphone and my camera are on a rolling desk, so I can roll it around anywhere. And then I've got a regular desktop with my big screens up on the wall. So, you know what? Since we discontinued the Comet Hunter, I have not heard. I mean, people want Comet Hunters. That's crazy.
It was ahead of its time. People didn't know about it.
True, it was ahead of its.
Got out there, and then they're
It was
gone.
a sleeper for years. It was. I had hundreds and hundreds of them, just sitting in the warehouse, and I was going, "Why doesn't this sell better?" Gary says, I need to add door prizes for every show. We've been doing door prizes almost every show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
They get better with the star parties, or the virtual star parties.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Get the big door prizes. But anyhow, I'm wondering what I can give away. You know what I haven't given away is a pair of binoculars in a long time. And so, Gary, do you think you can dig up a question?
Yeah, I think so.
What do I got here? We have ta-da! Bresser Condors, 8x32s. Multi-coated, fully multi-coated. Let's see. These are compact roof prism. These have BAK4 prisms, fully multi-coated, includes a carry case. They're waterproof, have twist-up eye cups, and also, if you want, if you have like one of those binocular tripod adapters, it's like a little L-shaped thing. This piece unscrews, and you can screw it in, and then you got tripod-mounted binoculars. So, but got your center focus right here, and then right eye focus right here. It's a nice pair of binoculars, and so there you go. Condor 8x32s. Oh, wait a minute.
Nope, staying.
That was not the 8x32s. This is the 8x32s right here. Actually, even a little bit more compact. But all the specs were correct.
Have you
With the bike up, center focus,
followed
right
every
eye
single
focus,
case? Every single
fully
You
multi-cut.
followed them? Do what? You
All right.
followed every single one. Followed? Yes. No, but I've responded. That's what we're doing. We're doing a whole lot of stuff. Right, so when we do that? At 5 o'clock. Okay, I have something to go to. So I need, well, right now.
Jim Hendrickson says, it's like everything in Astroland. As soon as something is discontinued, everyone wants it.
The facial expression was priceless. It was priceless.
Oh, David Levy,
I'd almost,
Hunter Mark II. Well, I guess I'm going to have to bring back the Comet Hunter at one point or another. But
I would almost pay double. Almost.
all right, I'm gonna tap that.
Dang it.
Now there are some things I'd like to do, a couple of improvements I would like to make to the scope, and so
Because it was it set for astrophotography or was it just straight visual?
no, when I was working with David, I really did work with David Levy on co-developing this telescope, and so I went to his home in Vail, Arizona, and spent a couple of nights, spent a weekend with him. It was great. We did comet hunting together and all of that, and then we sat down and I started making this laundry list of wants and needs for what David thought would be the perfect telescope.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be portable enough to take it out at a moment's notice. It had to have enough aperture for you to see deep sky objects.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be sharp enough and contrasty enough to do nice planetary work with it. It had to be a great visual scope, and it had to be a great astrograph. Okay. So I went back with all this stuff, and then I talked about price with him and stuff, and he says, well, it can't be too expensive either. And so, I was thinking of all these performance values and everything, and we started thinking about the Mac Newtonian, the Mac Newtonian's a relatively flat field. It's corrected all the way out to the edges of the field of view. And so we developed that scope and put it in a carbon fiber tube. It originally sold with like a big steamer trunk type of case, and it came with a finder scope and eyepiece and everything. But it was pretty pricey when it first came out. So I think that was one of the reasons why it didn't sell very well. It was also kind of maybe a little bit of an oddball as far as, it wasn't a Newtonian, it was a Mac Newtonian, so I think people didn't understand what it could do, Amateur astronomers are kind of conservative when it comes to evaluating equipment, They'll look at things that are already out there, and so.
Right.
Maybe an idea is if you just ever decide to come out with one, make one for astrophotography side.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Of course, the price range goes up, but
Right.
but I have a feeling that we would be willing to pay it.
Yeah.
Well,
I've-
they'll have
I've got
to. It would have to be a reasonable increase in price. You know.
Well, but one sale does not conscientious or
Does-
do whatever to invest in all this.
Maybe I just auction them off one at a time and see what I can get for them.
$1,000
Right.
starting price.
Right.
Go from there.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Get one of those really fast talking auctioneers. You know, one of the guys that's watching the show right now is Andrew Corkhill, and Andrew's got an ED 152. He's riding it on a Exos 2 PMC 8 mount, and he says he's also got some Alpine 8x42 binoculars. Really loves them. Andrew worked in marketing. We both worked with a guy named Rich Jorgensen, who was from AOL Time Warner, and he taught us a lot about internet marketing and community marketing. And so Andrew was there when I started Mead's 4M community, and it became I think, the de facto world's largest amateur astronomy club. It had like nearly 50,000 members. So it was a good time. It was a good time. Too bad we weren't doing like live broadcasts all the time, Andrew. That would have been cool. Let's see.
I've got a question for the binoculars.
Okay.
The question is related to the exit pupil. The exit pupil is very important for binoculars because that really determines how much light you'll actually see coming from the sky. So the question is, how do you calculate exit pupil based on the information that you get when you buy the binoculars with the size that you buy? There's information there that you get that you can use to calculate the exit pupil. So how do you do that?
Okay. First one to answer it
It's a good question.
gets these binoculars.
And so the exit pupil, if the exit pupil from the binoculars is too big and your eye doesn't get that big, then you're kind of wasting light.
Mm-hmm.
So you want the exit pupil to be smaller than what your eye can dilate to, is what it comes down to, I think. That's something different than telescopes in general. You don't worry too much. Although with the eyepieces, you have variable eyepieces and a telescope, so you can calculate the exit pupil on that also.
We're getting answers here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Somebody wants to know if we're going to make large astronomical binoculars. Maybe. Maybe. We're talking about it. Nico said he got his binoculars today. That's cool. Let's see. Richard Lighthill. Almost 2x or maybe almost? I don't know. That's probably in response to something else. If the scope comes back, will the focuser be changed? Yes. That's something I would change on the Comet Hunter. 10-inch magnitude is my dream. 3-inch focuser and all. That would be a heavy scope. That would be heavy. Here's a door prize idea. This is from Brett Blake. Are Jerry's books still in print? Moore's books. Just a thought. We did give out a number of books.
Yeah, they're still in print.
Yeah, you can
They're
get them. We'll
on demand
as door prizes too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're available on Amazon.
Right.
Just look up my name. That's
right. Mr. Thumb 30 says the Comet Hunter is the best do-it-all good scope. I like that. And Andrew said his ES-152 was his dream scope, the best scope he's ever had. Thank you, Andrew. He worked at Mead Instruments. We could have handpicked anything there, and we did. We did. Okay, Dave Ing, it looks like we got some sort of an answer. Divide the focal length of the eyepiece in millimeters by the focal ratio of the scope.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. How about Mike Overacker's? Divide the aperture divided by power.
Yep, that's it.
That's it, huh?
Yep.
Great. Woo!
So it's a please.
Come on.
Please.
And we all, yeah. Okay. So I love it.
So exit pupil is very important when you're going. If your exit pupil on your eye, if you get your optometrist to measure it, then you can have a little bit more knowledge on how to pick out the best binoculars. Because if you get one that calculates the exit pupil to be larger than your own pupil, then you're just wasting light.
Yep.
It's not getting into your eyeball.
And possibly
That would seem logical.
Right.
Yes. Yes. So send in the your
Send in the clowns.
send
send in the information.
That's right.
Information.
Let's send in your information, your shipping information to kent@explorescientific.com for the Condor 8x32 binoculars. So that's it, and that's great. Now I think that we're going to kind of wrap up the show here. You did want to talk about telescope drive master and auto guiding versus auto guiding.
Yeah, we can save that for the next show because that's going to be a good 20 to 30 minutes. I want to talk about that.
It's a good subject to talk about.
Okay. Good Lord, we've been on for an hour. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
A lot of information to process.
yeah. So anyways, we're going to start being in the showroom, I guess, every day or most every day anyways. And we'll show you the equipment kind of one by one so that you can see what Explore Scientific has. I won't try to take up too much time like I did today. So anyhow, it was great having you guys all here. Let me just double check and see if we have any other questions, comments. Several people did get it right, but you got to be first.
Right, you always got to be first.
Yeah,
Being
Mike
first, you're
says
last.
he needs an eye pupil upgrade. Getting too old. Hey, Mike, next time I'm out there, I've watched that being done on television. I think I can do it. So
Upgrade your pupil.
yeah.
Oh, mercy.
I'll do that for you for free because I'm still practicing, So, James Dash, photographer, great show as usual, guys. See you all tomorrow.
Good deal.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for chatting. Great show, guys. Thank you. Great show. Thank you, guys. That's very kind of you. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's see. We got 2 shows tomorrow. Today's Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow, we have our regular 4 o'clock show, okay? Then at 7 p.m. Central, we've got 2 women astronomers. One is Vivian White. She is she's one of the directors at the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, okay? I should know how to say that. I was on the board of directors for that organization for a little while. It's a very wonderful, venerable organization, very old organization. And then, and Shannon, I'm going to mess up her last name. I think it's Schmuel, Shannon Schmuel. She is the director of Abrams Planetarium. So, in East Lansing, Michigan. And so they are both going to be giving a presentation for a program that is mostly centered around Cerro Tololo Observatory. It's called Big Astronomy, and it's the story of how the kind of support and all the people it takes, from people that serve the food at the observatories to everything. It's like, talking about how is a ship run. Okay, well, these observatories require incredible support, and they're going to be talking about that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. So you're going to want to tune in for that. I did send out, if you're on our mailing list, I sent out a mass mailing about it today. And there are other details on the Explorer Alliance blog. You'll see the blog there under the Explorer Alliance header, and you can read about it. But I'm about to also start spreading the word on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else. So you guys take care and keep looking up. We'll see you tomorrow.